Two Americas this morning, one buried in ice and snow, the other waiting for the storm to arrive. In central Arkansas, the storm is already a reality. Bryant recording 4 to 5 inches of mixed precipitation, Harrison buried under 2 to 3 inches, Little Rock experiencing heavy sleet that hasn't stopped since yesterday evening, temperatures locked in the low teens. This isn't coming, this is here. Memphis tells the transition story. Residents went to bed with snow falling, woke up to the sound of sleet hammering roofs and windows. 3 inches of snow overnight now covered by heavy sleet. 14 degrees, wind chill 1 below zero. The transition happened fast, and it's loud enough to wake anyone trying to sleep through it. But Nashville, nothing. As of 7 this morning, radar showed the entire city covered in precipitation. Residents looked outside, checked again, still nothing but cold air. Finally, at 7:15, light snow began. That is a critical delay. Every hour without precipitation means less total accumulation. This pattern repeats across the region. Chattanooga seeing heavy snow in some neighborhoods while areas 20 minutes away remain dry. Kentucky cold and waiting. Northwest Georgia already dealing with freezing rain before the main system arrives. The Carolinas watching temperatures drop, knowing their turn comes tonight. Welcome to winter storm forecasting in the South, where 30 miles makes all the difference, where elevation matters, where the battle between cold air and moisture creates winners and losers street by street. I've been monitoring this system for 3 days, watched the models shift, seen the forecasts adjust, and this morning ground truth is teaching us what the models couldn't quite capture. The core issue? 2 layers of air fighting each other, cold air at the surface, a warm layer aloft between 4 and 8,000 feet. The outcome of that battle determines whether you get snow, sleet, or freezing rain. And small changes in that warm layer's position create dramatically different results on the ground. Let me explain how this works, because understanding the meteorology helps you understand why forecasts keep changing. Snow forms in the clouds, falls toward the surface. If it stays below freezing the entire way down, you get snow. Simple. But if it falls through a layer of above freezing air, things get complicated. A thin, warm layer partially melts the snowflakes. They refreeze before hitting the ground. That's sleet. You can hear it. You can see it bounce. It accumulates, but doesn't coat surfaces the way ice does. A thick, warm layer completely melts the snow into rain. Then that rain hits the sub-freezing surface and freezes on contact. That freezing rain, silent, deadly, coats everything. Brings down power lines and trees, the difference between sleet and freezing rain, a few hundred feet of atmospheric depth in that warm layer. Models struggle to resolve that precisely. That SY forecasts change. Memphis got sleet, not freezing rain. That actually good news in a bad situation. Sleet creates travel problems. But it doesn't take down the power grid the way ice does. The weight can still break branches, but the risk is manageable compared to sustained freezing rain. Now that warm layer is trying to push north. If it succeeds, Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky face mixed precipitation instead of all snow. Less accumulation, more ice, higher outage risk. Current observations this morning tell me the warm layer is advancing but struggling. It is not dominating everywhere. That gives me confidence that Nashville and surrounding areas see mostly snow with periods of sleet. Not ideal, but better than the alternative. Let's walk through what's happening region by region, not just the forecast, the why behind the forecast. Arkansas and Oklahoma took the first hit. Heavy precipitation started yesterday evening, continued through the night. Sleet, snow, some ice underneath. The heavy stuff is mostly over, but temperatures remain well below freezing all weekend. What fell is staying. Roads are impassable. Some want to be cleared until Monday at earliest. If you are in Little Rock, Fort Smith, Tulsa, you are not going anywhere. Period. 4-wheel drive doesn't help on 6 inches of ice and sleet. Emergency services are overwhelmed. Tow trucks can reach everyone. Stay put. Memphis continues through midday. Heavy sleet now. Possibility of flipping back to snow this afternoon if that warm layer weakens as models suggest. By tonight, total accumulation 6 to 10 inches of combined sleet and snow. Ice accumulation underneath, 1/4 inch or less. Power outages possible from weight on lines, but not the widespread devastation freezing rain would cause. Middle Tennessee is where the forecast gets difficult. Nashville, Murfreesboro, Cookeville. The delayed start this morning already cut into accumulation time. Now the question is precipitation type. All snow gives you 4 to 7 inches, manageable for the region. Mixed precipitation with sleet or freezing rain cuts totals and raises ice potential. I am leaning toward mostly snow with sleet mixing in based on current temperature profiles. The National Weather Service Nashville office is updating frequently because this is close. Small changes in atmospheric conditions shift the outcome significantly. Chattanooga south into northern Georgia is the true mixed bag. Your specific location and elevation determines what you get. Valleys typically stay colder, favoring snow or sleet. Higher terrain might see more, but freezing rain is possible anywhere in this zone depending on timing. Ice accumulation is the main threat. Quarter to half-inch possible in some locations. That's enough. Trees come down, power goes out. If you haven't prepared, do it now while you can. Charge everything. Fill bathtubs, find flashlights and batteries. East Tennessee from Knoxville northward stays cold enough for all snow. The question is how much moisture penetrates that far inland. 3 to 6 inches current thinking. But if dry air persists near the surface like it did in Nashville this morning, northern valley areas might underperform. Kentucky along Interstate 64 and southward watches that warm layer carefully. Lexington should stay cold enough, 4 to 8 inches depending on specific location. But southern Kentucky near Tennessee is marginal. Small atmospheric changes determine the outcome. The Carolinas are next in line. Tonight into Sunday, the system reorganizes offshore, strengthens as it does. Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, snow starts late tonight, heavy at times overnight into Sunday morning. Model spread remains significant. The European has been more aggressive than the American models throughout this event. I am splitting the difference. 6 to 10 inches for much of central North Carolina. The Piedmont could see higher amounts if snowfall rates really crank up overnight. South Carolina and northern Georgia along Interstate 20 have winter storm warnings. Columbia, Greenville, Athens. Snow begins overnight. 4 to 8 inches likely. The southern cutoff remains uncertain. Atlanta sits right on the edge. 2 to 5 inches current forecast. But a 50-mile track shift changes everything for the metro. Virginia S turn comes Sunday. Shenandoah Valley through Richmond. Snow develops Sunday morning, continues through afternoon, 4 to 8 inches in valleys, higher amounts possible in mountains. Temperature trends matter here. Charlottesville hit 9 degrees this morning, colder than forecast predicted. If that cold bias continues, it means higher snow ratios, more accumulation per inch of liquid equivalent. Good for snow totals, bad for everything else. The Mid-Atlantic and Northeast watch Monday into Tuesday. But we 3 days out. Models disagree on track. The pattern supports a significant coastal storm. Whether it crushes the I-95 corridor or stays offshore is undetermined. By Sunday evening, we'll know more. Now, practical matters. What you should be doing based on your location. Arkansas, Oklahoma, West Tennessee. You are already in it. Stay home. Don T. Drive. Emergency services can to help everyone simultaneously. Middle Tennessee, Kentucky. If precipitation hasn't started in your area, you have hours, not days. Hours. Last-minute essentials, get them now. By afternoon, conditions deteriorate rapidly. North Carolina, Virginia, you have until tonight. Don T. wastes the time, not just food and water. Think about medications, pet supplies, batteries, firewood if you have a fireplace. Fill your vehicle's gas tank, not for driving, for running the engine periodically if power fails. Power outages are a legitimate concern, especially if you have elderly family or medical equipment that requires electricity. Figure out your backup plan now, not when the lights go out. Where do you go? Who do you call? Have those answers ready. Check on neighbors, particularly older people, people living alone, people with health conditions. Verify they have what they need. Ensure someone will check on them during and after the storm. Healthcare workers, first responders, essential personnel told to prepare to stay at work. Pack for multiple days. Roads will be impassable longer than most people expect. Pets need shelter from wind and access to unfrozen water. Bring them inside if possible. Livestock require windbreaks and extra feed. Cold weather dramatically increases their caloric needs. Common questions I keep seeing. Let me address them directly. Will that warm layer melt what has already fallen? No. The warm layer is aloft, 4,000 to 8,000 feet up. Surface temperatures remain well below freezing throughout this event. The warm layer affects precipitation type during formation and fall. It doesn't warm the surface. Your accumulated snow and ice aren't melting until surface temperatures rise above freezing. That's not happening until Monday at earliest for most locations. Why do snow totals keep dropping in the forecast? Because the models are responding to new data with each run. This isn't a hype being walked back. This is science adapting to observed conditions. The northern extent of heavy precipitation has trended south. That's a real atmospheric shift, not forecaster error. Southern areas are performing at or above early forecasts. Arkansas and northern Mississippi are getting hammered. Middle Tennessee and Kentucky are seeing lower totals because that warm layer is fighting harder than anticipated. The ingredients are present, but they recombining differently than models projected 72 hours ago. This is why you don't fixate on a specific number from a model run days in advance. Forecasts evolve. Adjust your plans accordingly. Beyond this system, the pattern remains active. Monday, this storm exits. Cold air stays. Temperatures remain below freezing through Tuesday across most affected areas. Nothing melts. The potential secondary system for the Northeast Monday into Tuesday is still uncertain. Wide model disagreement. We'll have clarity by Sunday evening. Longer term, the cold pattern persists. The polar vortex stays displaced. Arctic air continues flowing south. Multiple winter weather opportunities ahead. This isn't the only event this month. Perspective. Is this historic? Depends where you are. For Arkansas and northern Mississippi, absolutely. They rarely see this. Little Rock could record a top 10 snowstorm. For Tennessee and Kentucky, it's significant, memorable, but not unprecedented. You've seen the blizzard of '93, the ice storms of the late 2000s and mid-2010s. This ranks in that category. For the Carolinas, if totals verify, it's a major event. 6 to 10 inches shuts down the entire region. But the real story isn't snow totals. It's ice potential, extended cold, power grid strain, emergency service challenges. That's what makes this significant. Final thoughts before we go. If your totals dropped from early forecasts, be grateful if you are avoiding ice. Snow and sleet you can manage. Freezing rain is different. Don T. encourage family in affected areas to travel. Roads are bad now. They will be worse for days. Whatever seems urgent probably isn't worth the risk. To medical workers and first responders going out in this, thank you, genuinely. Most of us stay home safely. You don't get that choice. This has been a challenging forecast. That warm layer complicated everything. But the core message never changed. Significant winter weather, heavy snow and ice, dangerous conditions, extended cold, the details adjusted. That's how forecasting works. Stay safe. Check on people. Don T. drive unnecessarily. Have a power outage plan. I'll update throughout the weekend. The National Weather Service is doing outstanding work. Monitor their forecast for your specific area. This is serious. Treat it that way. But we've handled winter before. We'll